Hey, VA fam. Wait, did I hit record? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. See? Kerry Washington. Welcome to the VA QA on this beautiful Friday. I am really excited to be joined here by Yanely Espinal, aka Miss Be Helpful, and Chris Browning, aka Mr. Popcorn Finance himself. We're going to be taking y'all's questions. Now, if you want to submit a question to Brown Ambition, please go to our Instagram. You can DM us at the Brown Ambition. No. What? At Brown Ambition Podcast on IG. Or you can email us, brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com if you want to have your question on the show. And we have some juicy ones today. So I'm excited to have y'all's help here. So you know the spiel, get your salt shakers out. This is infotainment, edutainment, I can say. Salt shakers are required because what we're not giving you is like paid financial investment, professional advice. We don't actually know you personally, nor do we, need to be sued by you for any information we've given you. So let me hop on. And I think we got a mix of like career and finance today. Cool. Our first one is from Anonymous. What should we call this anonymous person? We'll call her Kerry.
There we go.
After Yanely's girl crush, Kerry Washington. All right. She wants to know, is it okay to decline a job offer that actually pays more money? I've been listening to BA for a long time. I'm so grateful for you guys and what you've built. Oh, it's so sweet. You've empowered me in so many ways, especially as a mom of two, to fight for myself in the workplace and to own my career trajectory. Thank you. Heart hands. Oh, thank you. All right. So to get some... Wait, did it do hearts?
You shouldn't even see it.
You didn't even see
I'm reading the question. I can't see it.
Yeah, the red hearts just popped up. It was so cute. Oh, there they go.
I can't. Is it cute though? It's so
It
corny.
is cute. It's cute. I like it. I think it's cute.
All right, that's fine.
I'll call it corny then.
We'll take our little joys where we can take them. All right. So a little bit on Kerry's backstory. So my husband and I moved our family across the country almost 1 year ago for what seemed like a great opportunity for him. But 6 months after moving, he was laid off. Luckily, my job allowed me to work remotely, so I've been able to maintain my income. And between that and his unemployment, we've been able, to make ends meet. Right now, I'm making a little less than $50K annually, and I recently interviewed for a position that will pay around $75K, and I stand a pretty good chance of getting an offer. It's an opportunity I've prayed for. After learning more and more about the role in the final interview, it doesn't seem at all like anything I'd want to do. Things I value: clearly defined processes, organization, the ability to work within a team. This job would be the opposite of all those things. I'd be a team of one person working to help the organization create order out of chaos, guaranteed working longer hours. The idea feels nightmarish. So she says, part of me wants to remove myself from consideration. I want a job that will pay more money, but not at the expense of my mental health or time to spend with my family. But when I consider this would be a huge jump in income, especially when my husband's unemployment income has ended and he still hasn't found a job, the idea of walking away from an opportunity like this sounds crazy. Like Cardi B said, I got babies, I need some money, I need cheese for my eggs. Did she say that?
I need cheese for my eggs.
Is that a lyric?
Yeah.
Cheese in your eggs. I can't do that anymore. The lactose just won't let me. If I take this role, Kerry says, and do it successfully, I think it would put me in a great position career-wise when I think about roles I could take on after my time. But my kids and husband are more important to me than anything. I don't want my relationships with them to suffer because I'm stressed out all the time. Mm-hmm. Would turning down an offer like this be irresponsible, especially in this economy? What would you do? Thank you for reading, Kerry.
Chris, I'm going to let you take it first because I got strong opinions. I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, man. Okay. I was formulating my thoughts here.
You got to get quicker on the uptake, Chris.
I know.
Come
I know.
on.
I'm torn. I'm torn right now in my mind.
Oh, that's relatable.
Yeah,
right?
Be honest.
Because part of me is like, look, nobody wants to walk into a chaotic situation, right? If you're happy where you're at, I get it. Because I've worked in jobs where I was like, this is pure chaos. Everybody hates it here. I'm stressed out. I'm working too much. And I wish I wasn't here. And so I never want anyone to go into that situation, like to walk into that. But
not at Brown Ambition, right? You don't feel that way now, do you?
Yeah, Nelly, I'll tell you what I really think about all this later. But really, it was that job did set me up for better jobs down the line. It was a promotion for me. There was a big pay jump when I took it. It was kind of like this. It was about a $20,000 a year pay jump. And I ended up leveraging that job into something else. Now, I hated that job for 4 years. I was there for a long time. Miserable. The worst job I ever had. And I find the 2 of those 4, I was trying to find another job. But if it wouldn't have been for that job, I wouldn't have had opportunities to find the job that I got later that paid me more and gave me that balance that I was looking for. So I'm torn in the sense that, like, I don't want people to deal with that stress because life was horrible for a while. But I saw what that led to. And so I'm a little torn because, like, yes, there could be another opportunity that might fill that role for you, allow you to get that promotion, allow you to make that step up, get that experience and that pay. But sometimes you take the opportunity that presents itself and you use that to your advantage to get to where you need to go. So I'm very torn on this, but part of me is like, especially in the situation she's in, it feels like, you know, that extra security might be nice, even though it is going to take a little bit of your time and it might be a bit of a sacrifice for a while. So that's my response. That's my immediate thoughts on it.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, that's real. That's real. I'm going to be honest. My immediate thought was, no, don't take it. And the reason why is because compensation and benefits is one factor in a larger rubric that you use to make a decision about whether you want to take this step in your career. The other factors to consider are the role, the responsibilities, if there's growth opportunities, your work-life balance, your sanity, flexibility with time to come in and time to leave. You got kids, you got a husband, company culture, the mission and the values of that company, right? The work environment, the location, proximity to your home, your commute. Is that going to be miserable? You know, future prospects. Is that a stable job? Is the company actually stable, right? And personal intuition is one that I would include on my rubric. And your personal intuition is already waving a big red flag saying, everything about that interview told me what I needed to know, that this was not the job I thought it would be. But what's most important to me in what you said was that you think that you are about to get this offer, which means you have the potential to make this money. You have what it takes. You're capable of getting an offer at that salary or higher. So this does not have to be the only job that you will get with that salary. Now that you know that you're capable, you can finesse that offer, honey. Get the offer in writing, PDF that joint, and take it with you to the next interview process and use it to negotiate a higher offer from another job that does align with the things that you like: organization, stability, clarity, right? All of those things that you value, that this particular job is making clear it's not the one, it's not it. So for me, I would think that if you were to do it just for the money, you're going to end up resenting your hubby. You're going to end up resenting him because he's kind of technically the only reason that you would do it because he's not working, right?
Yeah.
That's a
You
good
didn't do
point.
it because
That's
you
a good
wanted to,
point.
sis.
I love
You
how
know?
she's like, he still hasn't gotten a job.
That's what I'm saying. There's a
Hold
little
on,
bit
that
of
wasn't-
resentment already.
You had a little stake on there. That wasn't in the. I didn't read that.
Right,
when you,
the way Mandi read it. She read it with that little.
And
the
he
little
made us
sazon.
move out here across
She read it with
the country.
She read it with extra sazon.
She's probably in like Nevada or someplace. I don't know.
I hope it's not. Well, maybe Nevada is an income tax free state. Good for y'all. But I do think that you need to be honest with yourself about your personal intuition, because the worst case scenario is you hate your job, you resent your job, and you hate your husband, you resent your husband because he made you get the job that you resent and hate. And so I think at the end of the day, money ain't everything. We all about more money, but you can finesse that job offer into another job offer of equal or greater salary benefits if you make moves the right way. And obviously Mandi is the right woman to hook you up, so you're already in the right place. Hello.
I think both of y'all have interesting perspectives, and I feel like I agree with both of you in different parts. I've seen this question before, some version of this question, many, many times. This is like this is like one of my, haven't I said this 1,000 times kind of questions, like you in the stock market thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, when it comes to a situation like this, I have people who would tell me the exact same thing, but if you flip it. So like they're at a very chaotic, or they thrive in chaotic situations, and they're going into a job interview and it just sounds like everything is so rigid and so structured and more bureaucratic. It's a bigger company. Will they have as much freedom and flexibility, and like, will they get to be a self-starter as much? And I think I just want to like, I want there to be like a level of understanding about how any job that you have, any job environment, it can change. I mean, you can come into a chaotic organization, or you can come into a very stable organization that can become chaotic. And like, you could be working at, I don't know, like what's one of the most oldest, Procter and Gamble, like a big company. And like, maybe the company itself is very stable, but you get switched to a certain team, like, I don't know, R&D or accounting or whatever. And either the whole team is a bit toxic, or your manager is toxic, and like your on your own path at the company that you work. And sometimes if it's big enough, like you have your own little inner company, almost like a smaller company within a company. And I think we need a healthy understanding of like the workplace dynamics and sort of have a healthy level of, okay, this may change and like it may not always be this way. And so I need to be a little bit flexible and just going into a situation, at least saying like, this could change. And if it does, well, that's just what happens in some workplaces. And like, we can again be like really upset that all of a sudden that my manager who loved me has left and now I've been assigned to a new manager and he's passive aggressive and like microaggressive and all that. And so when it comes to you, and I totally get what you're coming into, like you're anticipating this is going to be chaos, that you're going to be spending long hours, and that is all entirely valid. Is it enough to like turn down the money that you need in this career opportunity? I kind of feel like more on Chris's side, a little bit of like, you need the money, take the job. You're not in a situation where you have a lot of options right now. Your husband's out of work. You have 2 kids. That's expensive as hell. And even if you're in, you know, I don't know, living on $50K for a family of 4, that's just, it's tough, you know?
It's tight.
So hard.
And Cardi B doesn't say it, but eggs is like really expensive now, you know, like $10 a dozen. So
They're sold out everywhere.
Right.
yeah, part of me is like, I see where she's coming from, but I also feel like with the extra money, you could invest that in your family to bring to like counteract if you're going to be spending more time at work. Could you be spending, you know, the extra money that you're getting if you get a nice vacation package with this company? Could you be you doing a nice family vacation once a year? Could you be using the funds for the bigger picture, for like the kids' college education or their school tuition, or maybe you guys need something that as a family will make you happier. And like, if you can frame it not as like mommy's going to work for this company and I'm just assuming it's not a terrible place, it's just a chaotic place, then that may help it. That may make it like easier for you to show up and deal with the stuff that's going on because you're doing it for the right reasons. And like, you understand where your values are. You're still valuing your family. You're doing it for them, and you're not centering the company and its needs. And if you do that, I just feel like you'll be able to withstand that chaos a little bit better. Because genuinely, I think one of my superpowers in corporate was that I could stand a little chaos. It was just like this, because chaos, some people just like to get upset about things and complain about things and like, oh, this, you know, and worry about things like, oh, did you hear what they said in that town hall meeting? It seemed a little different than that town. And I'm like, yeah, but this is a corporation. You know, business plans are going to change. Wall Street's going to talk, and then the company is going to make a move this way. There's always going to be some chaos. Like, I just think if you can like change your mindset, you can cope with that stress and that chaos. Does this sound like a really terrible advice? I
don't think it's terrible.
I just don't want you to like walk away from an opportunity that could be great for you career wise. And yes, Yanely, with this, I love that you said like use this offer as a negotiation tactic. But if there's not another offer around the corner,
that's the uncertainty that you don't know.
And in this job environment, there may not be. You can still take the job, and then you're like, you have the 75K as your, you know, as your
leverage,
and you haven't even negotiated. It can be higher than 75K now.
That part.
Yeah, man.
We can get you to
what
90.
you want.
Call me, girl. We can get you to 90. Signing bonus, what you want. Like, and I'm just saying, like, you could leverage that for more down the line, but like actually being in the role and getting that experience, it could just make you better, you know, better, more resilient, more battle tested.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, moms are so willing to sacrifice. I mean, Kerry said it herself that she's willing to do anything for her kids and her husband. So if you know that you're coming into this as sacrifice season and you're mentally equipped to handle that and you have accepted it, that's a completely different scenario than the one I was describing, where you go in because you need to, because your husband's not working, because it's a job that you feel desperate and you have to take it. Those are 2 very different women. So Kerry, I think you need to decide which one are you, where are you right now, and be honest, because there ain't no shame in doing a job that you hate for more money, but there's also no shame in turning a job that pays you more down because it doesn't align with your family and personal intuition. So I think you have a determination to make, Kerry, like which Kerry is the real Kerry.
Carrie B.
Kerry B.
You gonna be Carrie B? That was really well put. Yeah. Well, good luck. This sounds like a really adult problem to have.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a good problem to have.
That is.
Oh, and just one thing I'll say, if you're going into the situation with the terrible reason, with like your team of one and like all this chaos to order out, all this chaos to make order of, ask them during the interview process what resources you're going to have. Because it's one thing to be as, an independent person, but if they're going to acknowledge how much work this is, and if they're going to give you the resources to make it happen, then that for me becomes a situation where I can cope with that. But if they're saying like, you got to do it with no budget, we know this position could be like 3 people, but we're only hiring for 1, like that is where the toxicity can come in. But if they're going to give you a budget to hire contractors and like work with other teams and stuff to get what you need to get done, then that becomes a different equation.
Facts.
True. True.
Ooh, well, that was a juicy doozy one. Thank you, Kerry, anonymous Kerry. All right, let's take a quick break and come back with question number 2 from Sasha. All right, BA fam, we are back with an email question from listener Sasha, who has a money dilemma. All right, so Sasha says, regretfully, I have been bad with money and credit cards. I went from making around $45K to $90K in 4 years and let lifestyle inflation get the best of me. Now I have $20K on my Amex and $14K on my Discover card, plus a mortgage, plus student loans. I really want 2025 to be the year that I make a dent in this debt. I called Amex and asked for a rate reduction like you suggested on an episode a few weeks ago, and they said yes. My rate went down to 7.9% for 12 months, and it cut my monthly payment in half. Here's my dilemma. Do I defer my loans and take the difference of my old Amex payment plus my deferred low payment, which is about $500, and throw it at my Discover card, or throw it at my Discover card, throw it on my Amex card, or save it and put it back to stack my savings? And then if by the 12-month mark, I have a decent savings, throw a chunk at the Amex before the rate goes back up. I'm so torn on what to do. I lost the plot here. There's a lot going on. Do I defer my loans? Defer. Does she mean like
take
a break from paying
Take
loans?
a break from paying on loans.
And then take the payment she
Use
would
that
have been
money.
putting. Got it. Okay. So take the difference of my old Amex payment plus my deferred student loan payment. And okay, so what she's saving on the Amex payment because they reduced her rate, take that amount plus the 500 student loans and put it on her Discover card. Because at this point, it's more expensive debt.
Right.
Than what's on her Amex. Or should she save it, set it aside, and then save that for 12 months and then throw it at the Amex card before the rate goes back up? I'm so torn. Okay.
Ooh. I would not defer the loans. I think the tricky thing is like you're constantly going to be like tempted to stop in one place to then go in another.
Can you just stop your student loans? Like what?
You can
They
do.
still accrue
I think
interest,
it's
right?
that's the thing. The accrual of the interest does not stop, and it continues to accrue on the principal balance, plus any previous interest. So it's really important that you like recognize that you're not pausing. They're going to keep adding interest. You're actually just not paying it down. So I think that the key would be to try to call the student loans and see if they can work you down to the lowest possible minimum monthly payment that will still continue to keep you in good standing. It's not a deferment. It's not a forbearance. It's none of those things. It's just the lowest possible monthly payment that you can get. And that means you might have to change the student loan repayment plan that you're opted into right now. If you're opted into, for example, income-driven repayment, you may have to change to the extended graduated. You may have to swap what repayment plan you have so that you can actually reconfigure that student loan monthly number to be the lowest number that it can be. That way you free up that other money without stopping completely your payments. Otherwise, you're not going to be putting a dent in that debt, and then that interest keeps accruing. So I would say try that. And then I'm tempted to say, yes, take advantage of the lower interest rate that you have on the Amex right now and go ham on that. Because once it's back up, there's no way. I mean, you can call them and say, hey, can you give me that low rate again? But chances are they're going to be like, girl, we just hooked you up. Goodbye. So I think you probably will want to take advantage of that, being that they generously lowered that rate. And so I would call the loans, try to get the lower amount monthly, take the difference, add it to the Amex card, and then you can tackle the Capital One card or the Discover card next. After the Discover card next.
Oh,
and
so
then
you
come
think
back.
you should throw it at the Amex, which is at a 7.9% rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Even
Because
if
then
the
you-
Discover
because-
card's more expensive?
Yeah, because of the fact that you're going to basically be locking in a deal that you won't ever get again with the Amex card. And then potentially what you could do is go onto the Discover card and negotiate that same deal that you got with the Amex card. Potentially
Or get a
negotiate
balance
that
transfer.
Or do a balance transfer and move that one somewhere where it's 0% for 18 months or 21 months, right? So that one you can kind of get to it. But right now you got this opportunity that you can lock in this low rate, get rid of this debt at the lowest rate you'll have it for. And I think there's something there that you should take advantage of before you lose it.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree with that too. Because it's just a temporary thing. That rate's going to go right back up to wherever it was. I'm assuming 20+% of where it
For
was.
sure, 20+%.
And the thing is, when
Why
the
do
interest
I
rate
feel
is,
like she should just put the money on the Discover, even though only because it's so much more expensive?
Yeah, but
Well,
then she's going to have two expensive ones once the Amex is back to that same expensive rate again as well.
She has 20K on Amex and 14K on Discover.
yeah. So not only does she have the higher balance on the American Express, she has now a
Get my
temporarily
pen out.
lower interest rate. So what's happening is now every payment you make is going to have a bigger impact as well, right? Because you're more of it's going towards paying down that balance. You have a less accumulating interest every single month, so you're not just paying down a bunch of interest. And she already, I'm assuming, has a regimen, a schedule of paying both those cards already. And the thing that stuck out to me, she said it cut my payment in half. And the thing is with the credit card, it cut your minimum payment in half, which is always
Yeah.
the worst payment to be making anyway. It's making the least
Yeah.
amount of
Majority of
progress.
it is going to
So-
interest. The majority of that is going to interest fees.
Exactly. So for me, I'm like, you just keep paying that as if nothing changed. You pay whatever that higher payment was you were paying before. And in the situation, she's admitting, like we all, I've been there, lifestyle creep, right? We let things get more expensive. And so to me, it's like in combination with this great break you have on interest is now reevaluating everything else you're spending. Because if you were able to survive on 45 and now you're making twice that, there are probably some areas that you can, maybe there's some areas that were definitely needed to be upgraded, but there are probably some areas that didn't need to that you can bring back down. So I think it's time for a full evaluation because there's probably some more money you could be pulling from some other areas to also just throwing it all at that card and getting those balances down. Because credit card interest, it eats you up quick.
It's the worst.
I mean, boy.
The only
sorry.
thing worse than credit card interest.
Dude,
The only thing worse than credit card interest is payday lending interest.
Yeah. Oh,
That's it. It's the only thing that's worse
yeah.
than it.
And the compounding of it.
Right.
exactly.
That
Yeah.
part is the worst. And every
It
single
sounds
month
like-
that you don't send a higher payment compared to the minimum that they're charging you, that's another month of you letting them just eat up your money to interest fees.
Yeah.
Balance transfers, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those situations too where you get the higher paying job and then you start acting like it immediately. And you start, and I have been there too. It's like you think you're like, oh, I'm going to have this money coming and whatever. So you start to justify small increases to your spending. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to have it. I'm going to have it. And like, but you haven't actually earned the money yet. 90K is not like in your pocket immediately. It comes in these paychecks. So you really have to, it's not about, well, I earned double now. It's like, well, how much do you have hitting your bank account each paycheck this time and still budgeting for that amount and not getting like caught up in the whole 90K thing.
Oh yeah.
And making a plan for how you're going to get not just pay off these cards, but break whatever habits, whatever like budget issues there are that got you into this situation. So like throwing away those cards, cutting them up, Dave Ramsey style, if you want to do that, if that's your ministry. If not, just setting a budget and sticking to it.
Yeah, cut them up, but don't close the accounts. Let's do
Yeah.
that. Because we want to
Yeah.
keep your credit good, especially because you have a mortgage. You might want to refinance that mortgage in a couple of years when these rates drop. So you got to be mindful that there's a strategy, there's a chess game going on right now with all the components of your financial situation. You mentioned a mortgage, you mentioned student loans, you mentioned credit cards. So it's, you can't handle each one in complete isolation, because if you cut the card and close it, now you're affecting potential future mortgage refinancing rates. And so that's kind of, looking at the complete puzzle rather than individual puzzle pieces is going to be really important for you right now, because this is a stressful situation to have. But it sounds like you have a menu of options. You've heard a couple of our opinions on what you should do. And I think it is definitely a plan of attack. And then to Chris's point, I would double down on that. Sit down and go through the numbers. Like, where are you doing too much? Where are you doing the most? And what can you do to clean that up? I do this all the time. Like, at least once or twice a year, I will sit down and go, all right, I'm doing too much. I do not need to have Apple Music and Spotify. What the hell? Like, I need to stop.
Oh my God.
And if you're doing that right now, check yourself, because that's a small example of ways that you become careless financially in larger ways later. So, just be on top of yourself, because no one else is going to be looking at your finances and checking you. You got to check yourself, boo.
Yeah. And then also, if you're attacking that card and paying it down and you stop using it, what's going to happen is Amex is going to be like, hey, we were making a lot of money off this person and we're not anymore. And that's when you start getting some of those better offers too, to keep your interest rates lower. They start offering you like, oh, what about a little balance transfer? You want to bring over some of that Discover balance? We'll give you 0% for a year. So the more responsible you are, the more likely you are to get some of these other breaks too, that'll maybe make it a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, that's a good call. For sure, I want her to try to get a balance transfer for the Discover. First, ask if they'll reduce it, or try to get a balance transfer. I mean, Amex may even say, you can carry that on over here and we'll give you 0%.
That part.
Because it can't be the same issuer. It has to be a different. So Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have options, hon.
Yes,
but
you do.
Don't spend too much time playing the shame game or the blame game. It all happens to the best of us. It's just about facing it, getting it done, and then trying to remember how shitty it felt and not doing it again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it right there. Not letting it happen again.
To the best of your abilities. And also, don't have children and move to the suburbs. Also, really, really is a personal finance conundrum, I will say. All right, BA fam. Thank you so much for sending your questions. Again, brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com to have your question read on the show. Or hit us up on IG. We're at Brown Ambition Podcast. And until next time, bye.
See ya.